Well, as we head through the Christmas week and into this weekend, we're going to be having a lot of people travel across the country. We're monitoring the forecast for that, but we want to bring in meteorologist Joey Welsh with NOAA's, Aviation Weather Center, and we're talking turbulence today. So are there different types of turbulence that people should be aware of if they are taking to the skies, and different types of magnitude of that turbulence?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are different types of turbulence. There are different magnitudes of turbulence. What the passenger is going to feel is the same. There's different causes for turbulence, whether it be terrain, whether it be jet stream pattern induced, whether it be from storms, even wake turbulence when a previous departing aircraft is stirring up the air just behind it. You can have turbulence behind that. So there are different types of turbulence, but as far as the passengers feel for that turbulence, it's pretty much the same, with the exception of the intensity itself.
Now, again, a lot of people heading to the skies for the holiday season. Is there anything specific that we're forecasting-wise are looking for when it comes to letting planes take off into turbulence or approaching turbulence during flight?
Yeah, absolutely. So during the pre-flight section of or portion of the flight itself, we'll have advisories and any warnings out for those pilots to look at and plan for. Even flight planners will route accordingly in some cases. Generally, the turbulence forecast is a prolonged forecast that happens over the course of hours when it's related to jet stream turbulence or even terrain-induced turbulence. But any storm-type induced turbulence, especially in the springtime, is very real time within the next hour or so, and those plans can change pretty quickly. But we'll try to highlight areas of turbulence generally hours out before the flight, so they can plan accordingly.
Now, you mentioned maybe terrain impacting turbulence. Is there anything specific, maybe because of the mountains, or if there is any stronger winds in the plains? Can you highlight a little bit about what some of the different types of turbulence would be because of the terrain?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So anytime there's strong low-level flow, particularly over the Rockies for the U.S., that air has got to go somewhere, right? So it goes up, and flights going through those, particular air currents will move around. It's not like a roadway where everything's stationary and gravity's keeping you forced down. Anytime you're dealing with airplanes, your all motions are in play. So anytime we get that strong low flow, or even mid-level flow that we can forecast, that's when we start, concerning ourselves with terrain. Even out east over the Appalachians, even though that's lower terrain, it can still induce low-level turbulence. Generally from the surface all the way up to 5,000 feet, sometimes 10,000 feet. But we're mostly concerned for the U.S. out west because you can get those deep layer air currents that cause moderate to even severe turbulence.
And then with storms in the forecast, do flights typically have to reroute for that, or just in general, because you get that upward motion from storms, does that create turbulence as well?
Absolutely. And airliners and most aircraft in general have restrictions on how far they can, approach, or how far to stay away from a thunderstorm in general. It's never advised to fly directly through an updraft of a thunderstorm. You've got all kind of dynamics in play, and it can be fatal. But generally, air traffic controllers will look at where storms are currently developing, where they're forecast to move to, and plan accordingly. It's really neat to see it play out in real time because it's organized chaos of sorts as far as planning goes. But a lot of planning goes into it. A lot of coordination between multiple parties all plays into that because it can change. But generally, we can have flights dodge, so to speak, particular storms. But if it's a line of storms covering multiple states, that's when it presents multiple issues because you don't have those holes, so to speak, to squeeze through.
Well, thank you so much. Again, this is Joey Welsh from NOAA's Aviation Weather Center. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us and give us some of those updates throughout this week.